Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? Because it's time to put them on. Because the conversation starts now. Patti.
That's right. That's me.
Welcome to On the Edge, the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, brains. How are you today? Today we have Patti here with us. She's going to talk about change. Change is a constant, brains. And some people say, like my mother, she would say, "Oh, I don't like change." Well, I understand that. But everything cannot remain the same. How do we become comfortable in this space? How do we prepare ourselves for the evolution of what is yet to come? And how can we be excited about it and not face it with apprehension or trepidation or uncertainty, but be excited about something new? So she's going to talk to us about that. We'll talk to her a little bit about basketball because I don't remember if she played it or she coached it, but we're going to talk about that. Education and what is the Blue Rose Group. Also, brains, I just want to let you know that Patti has a show. It's called On Your Own Terms. What does that mean? Because sometimes that's dangerous. It depends on what the terms are. So let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Patti?
I'm doing great today, April. Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely.
If I may, right off the bat, I want to be sure that people know I do not coach or play basketball. I'm just a very big basketball fan. So,
well, I was a basketball fan until SDSU lost.
Well, Virginia Tech women made it to the Final Four this year, and we were thrilled about that. So
that's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. So tell my brains how you show up in the world.
Well, I show up in the way of cultivating, celebrating, and supporting changemakers, people who make social and environmental change happen in positive ways fascinate me. And so I'm just always excited to meet people that are doing things to make the world a better place. So those people light me up, and I try to, be a fan for them and spread those messages around and study what makes them tick, so that hopefully that change making for the good will catch on, and other people, the more change makers we have, the better, because our world is in a heap of trouble. So we need people showing up, doing their best.
We need people that's going to show up. But change is very subjective. Change is one of those big $25 words. What does change look like to you? How does that impact you? Why does it make you feel uncomfortable? Why does it make you feel uncertain? Who are you trying to influence in that change? Because that change doesn't just impact you, it impacts others.
Absolutely. Well, when you talk about change, what you said at the beginning about it being inevitable and uncomfortable is all very true. And when I think about change, mostly my work is around influencing change for the betterment of the world in social and environmental kind of ways. I mean, people can influence change for the bad, for sure.
Well, and then we have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Because that is subjective. What is good for some is bad for others.
Yes.
And we'll just use this as an example. We'll use this as an example. We're not getting political or any of that, brains, but I have to give you a visual. A woman's right to choose.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All righty now. There's some change makers there.
Yes.
There's some influencers, and there are some that feel that change is for the good. There's others that feel that change is for the opposite result. Okay, so I get that. So again, I get what you're saying is that we're moving towards something positive, but it is very subjective to the individual that's there. So when you're working with a client or with a group,
Mhm.
What are some of the key strategies or some of the key things that you're looking for that you're, ticking the box to say, hey, this is in alignment with what I feel or
Yes.
what I want to promote or what I want to do. And this is the direction that I feel I should take those individuals.
Yes. Well, I do use a specific definition of what it means to be a change maker, and it's one that I have adapted from a university in the United Kingdom, the University of Northampton, that's been labeled a change maker campus by the Ashoka organization. And their definition is a change maker is anyone who sees a social or environmental problem and has the skills and the grit to do something about it. And
Mm,
I've added a little phrase to that, um, has the skills and the grit to work with others to do something about it, because change makers, really positive change makers, never act by themselves. And you're absolutely right that there is a filter there and it can get into political space. I will say that because I feature women change makers on my show, On Your Own Terms,
right.
um, I'm always on the lookout for people that are making positive change. And my best filter is love. If is it being done through a loving, generous, inclusive lens, and if not, it's not in alignment with what I'm doing. And it can be, I have people on my show that I don't necessarily agree with politically, and I will admit that I am very politically
Yeah, and
liberal.
yeah.
That's me, that's my brand.
Well,
But
I teeter back and forth. Sometimes I'm
yeah,
conservative. It depends on what it is. That's why I'm an independent.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But I get it. But what I'm saying is,
yes,
I have people on my show as well. But what I appreciate and value about you, as much as myself, is that you are allowing them to have a voice, to have a place, to have a position. Because number one, there is still something that we can learn, Patty.
yes, absolutely,
If it's nothing more than why they feel the way that they feel.
exactly.
And we
And
are independent
mhm,
news sources, so we have a responsibility to, again, do what mainstream media apparently can't do anymore, and that's
yes,
give opposing points of view and have a decent conversation. Wouldn't you agree?
I do absolutely agree. And I use this little framework that comes out of my our sort of company slogan, which is homegrown solutions for a patchwork world.
Mm,
And so when I'm interviewing people, I'm using those four quadrants as sort of my way of framing the conversation. And that patchwork piece, I'm from Southwest Virginia in the mountains of Virginia, where we love our patchwork beautiful quilts, both for the artistry of it, but also for the representation of the utilitarian nature of it.
right.
So the quilt is that diversity piece. And I always ask the question, how has it been important to you to engage with people who have different background, different experience, and different ideas from your own? Because I'm not interested in us all only talking to people exactly like ourselves,
Oh,
because
I
that doesn't
know.
make us
That
better.
would just no,
So
that doesn't make us better.
yeah, yeah. And so as long as we come to the table acknowledging that we can learn something from other people, whether we agree or not, we still learn something that we probably need to know
Absolutely,
about
absolutely.
that other perspective. So, you
Exactly.
know,
So what is all of this information cost you, bought you, and taught you? And what I mean by that, what risk have you taken?
yes,
What benefits has it given you? And what
yes,
lessons have you learned?
yes. Well, when you think about the cost, the cost has been, just for me getting out of the education space, which I had a whole career in K through 12 and then higher education, always public education, getting out of that safe environment into the world of entrepreneurship, which
Mm.
I had no idea about.
Girl,
I
and
just jumped.
it's a wicked space. People just
Yes.
overthink it. They just think, oh, this is just a lavish lifestyle. They don't know this is the grind. This is the
Yes,
grind.
ma'am. Yes. And I jumped into it, cold, not knowing anything about it. But it's been, sometimes it's cost me my dignity. Sometimes, many times I've had to back up and rethink, but I've gotten the opportunity to interact with people who know so much more than I do. And it's really opened my mind to, I mean, if you even just think about things that I didn't know anything about, like business and sales and that kind of stuff that always just made me very uncomfortable because I was used to my people showing up. They were assigned to me by the university.
Right,
You
right,
need
right,
to
right, right,
teach
right.
them. Here
You
they
didn't have to
are.
go out and get
Yeah,
the check.
yeah, that's
The
right.
check came to you.
Yeah, exactly. So now I have to convince people that I have something worth giving. But I've also gotten to have such respect for people in the business space, how much how many people that are in the business world are actually very positive social and environmental change makers, because you can start a business with a mission and integrity and a social way of thinking from the beginning, and actually be able to support change by supporting yourself and your family with something that's worth doing. And that was a whole new world to me, because coming out of education, and my father was a pastor and my mother was a nurse, it was all very service oriented. I had social workers in my family. That was my arena. And somehow I had this misguided notion that that's where all the good stuff happened, that business is all about money, and these social service agencies are all about making the world a better place.
Yeah.
And my eyes have been totally open to the fact that's unfair and not even close to right. Lots of people are starting businesses
It's very harmonious because it's a psychology behind both.
Yes, absolutely.
Service and delivery.
Yeah, exactly. And I
know.
just did not know that at all until I got into this world. And so
Well,
it's been
a
joyful journey.
And that's so important that you realize it. And you're a woman of a particular age. I'm a woman.
Yeah, I am. I am a woman of a certain age.
But you know what? There's a certain grace and elegance about that, honey. I am not ashamed to tell people that I am 60. I'm proud, because some folks don't make it to the 16 to 20.
That's right. That's exactly
and I have wisdom. But I'm also open to innovation. The world has changed so much, Patti.
Yes.
Girl, you look at somebody walking down the street, you don't know if they're male or female.
Right.
Heaven forbid you ask, or heaven forbid you assume and say something, they'll scratch your eye.
Right. Exactly.
You say, and you laugh at a joke that could be, whatever, and people want to have the cancer culture. They want to cancel you.
Yeah.
You've got people that are into fracking. You've got other people that say no. You've got the government forcing us to purchase electric vehicles with not enough charging stations. And they forget that they're still going to need certain minerals to produce those batteries.
Yes.
So and then this thing, education, this chat AI.
Oh my.
have you delved into that at all?
Not personally. I've gone to a few sessions to just get me thinking about what's
Girl, go in it and play. Go
useful.
in it and play with it. It will scare the bejesus.
Yeah. I think that's why I haven't, because it does scare me. But I went to a really good session. Yeah. I just went to a really good session the other day with a guy who was talking about how to use it, as a tool, like every other tool, to be able to. It depends on asking good questions.
You got to ask questions, but it's going to be more than a tool.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it now. You were in education.
Yes.
And you were trying to teach American history.
Yes.
And you were trying to not only teach the history lesson, but also grammar, punctuation, structure, how to create a story. Now all they have to do is go in chat AI and say, create a report.
Yeah.
Miss Patti.
It's worrisome.
It is worrisome, but see, it's twofold.
Yes.
We're going to have to learn how to work intelligently and intuitively with this device. We are feeding the data into this device.
Right.
But once it starts really getting emotional intelligence, then we have a lot to worry with. A girlfriend of mine did surgery. She didn't know it was done by a robot. They didn't tell her it was a surgeon. They just said, you're having surgery. She didn't think to ask. Well, the surgery botched. Punctured her kidney.
By the robot.
Okay.
Wow.
But when you sign a release, you signed a release. So now, brains, when you go and they have certain things done, you got to look at the fine nano print.
Yes.
So many things are, again, changing.
Yes.
A lot of times I tell people, why don't you just start at tolerance? Don't automatically expect me to jump to acceptance.
Yes.
Got to give me some time to settle in and do my investigative work like you're doing with Chat AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to be able to feel the feels, and it is going to be
Yes.
uncomfortable.
Oh, yes.
In my 60 years, I've seen several things change, some for the
Yeah.
good, some for not
Hmm.
so good. But I have boundaries and I'm able to edit and filter. How do
Yes.
you encourage the people that you work with to create boundaries so that they feel safe during this time of transition?
Wow. That's such an important question because I use this little framework that I call it's around that homegrown solutions patchwork world, and the homegrown piece is aligns with this beingness, which is all about our self-awareness, our self-confidence, our core values, and the sense of agency that we can make a difference. And that homegrown quadrant is all about who we are as individual people and how we not only use that self, but show up first for that self, because we have to be whole as individuals before we have anything to give. You know, we've all heard the analogy of the put your mask on first, your own mask on first. You've
Mhm.
heard the fill your own cup before you have anything to give. And that ability to fill ourselves only happens with healthy boundaries. And it's boundaries from technology as well as from other humans at times, so that you replenish. And to me, it always starts with sleep and good food.
Oh,
If I can start
okay.
there, then
Exactly.
if I
And
can start
again,
there, then I can take care
sleep
of
is
other
so
things.
important.
Yeah,
People are running on empty. That is when
yeah,
the body
that's right.
renews itself.
That's exactly
Now,
right.
I have odd sleeping hours, but I do make a commitment to myself that if I didn't get a good night's sleep, you better believe I'm gonna give me a good nap.
Yeah, that's good. Because you have to, it's foundational, and you just really can't be your best self if you don't do it. And everybody suffers if we don't set those boundaries. And I have to say, the older I've gotten, the better I've gotten at those boundaries,
Yes.
partly because I work for myself now, so I have more freedom to create my boundaries. I preached it when I was, teaching and a principal and all those things. I preached it, but it was hard to actually maintain it. And now I find I actually can get to bed at a decent hour, wake up
And
when my
be
body says wake
consistent.
up.
That's
Yes.
something that I struggle with. There's certain
Yeah.
things in my life, for the most part, I'm very consistent, but there's other things I waver. And so
Yeah.
I'm starting to read more books on how to be consistent, but not be rigid.
Mhm. Yes.
Because sometimes you can be consistent and you're considered a perfectionist, and then that shows up
Yeah.
as security. So there's a
Yes.
whole bunch of other
Yeah.
add-ins
It's
that
true.
you can put on that.
Yeah.
Give me one of your success stories. What is a client or a project that you've worked on that has really impacted change and made you feel good about what you've done?
Okay. Well, I will say what comes to mind right away is a client that I'm working with right now. I am a certified women's leadership and empowerment coach, which is a certification I've completed recently. I'm one of those people addicted to learning, so I keep going back to school all the time. But I've been working with this woman who is amazing, also a woman of a certain age,
Mm-hmm.
who came to me because she wasn't feeling confident to show up in the world in her full self, even though she certainly earned it. She still wasn't feeling that. And, using these, my structure, which is all about the being, the doing, the connecting, and the reflecting, and the tools that I use through my one of many certification, she is just blossoming. This woman is creating boundaries, deciding for herself on her own terms what she wants to do with her life, and taking action. And she's a reader, so she reads everything she can get her hands on to help inform herself so that she can show up as a real, she's working hard on being an anti-racist ally. And I'm seeing her do that in her daily life. And she's believed and been trying to inform herself all along, but now she's getting that confidence to step up and say, all right, this is an area that I really want to make a difference in. So I'm very proud of her work.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this wonderful growing community that comes to my show all the time and supports each other in
Absolutely.
being change makers. So
And that's
it's
so important. But again, we have to realize and identify that there's something or an area that needs to be changed.
yes, yeah,
So many people aren't
yes,
happy with the status quo. And like I said,
Yeah.
women of a particular age, we're ever evolving every day.
Yes. All the time.
There's something different. I get smarter, my heart opens up more.
Yeah.
But I also find a gray hair down here in my cheek.
Yeah. No. I hate that.
But it is what it is. And we have to accept that. And we have to be happy that we are on this planet at this time, that there is so much change occurring because we're learning. COVID was the perfect pause.
Oh, well, yes.
COVID pumped the brakes on everyone around the world.
Yes.
That was God's download to say, hey, you're in timeout. I'm trying to teach you something. For 2 years.
Yes.
During that time, Patti, what did you learn?
Well, I learned how much I actually like working at home from my own little space, and how much I can actually connect with the whole world through this amazing technology that is this device. And, having that opportunity to build relationships in the online environment has given me connections all over the world that I didn't have before. I've always been a person who liked to travel and have had some international experiences, but I appreciate it so much more now. And I've had the privilege of meeting people through this medium and then traveling to get to meet them in person now that COVID's kind of settling down a little bit. And it's been the greatest joy to actually get to put my arms around somebody that I've made close friendships with.
It made me more aware.
Yeah.
I was always in tune and in touch, but it heightened my sense of connectivity, like you said. It heightened my sense of compassion.
Yes.
It heightened my sense of gratitude.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, when you stepped out that door, you were a nervous wreck. Yes. Is it going to be the postman that has it? Is it going to be at the grocery store? I've got to stand in line for this. There's other people that don't have that. So it was a time of deep reflection for me. Yes. But also a time to make corrections. I remember the Reverend Al Sharpton, I'll never forget, he saw me looking in the mirror. He said, let me tell you something. He said, that mirror is more than just for your reflection. It's also a place where you can make a correction.
Oh, I love that.
And so when I look at myself in the mirror, I look beyond the superficial. I look beyond what I did. I've done mirror work. Have you ever done mirror work?
No, I have not.
Well, you're a lifelong learner. You try that one time. It'll blow your mind. I sat there and did some, facilitated. And I cried like a baby. I saw things that I had never seen before. I heard things in silence that I had never heard before. I had thoughts, images, and dreams and opportunities that I had never had before. So I say that, in this change, look at initially who you are from the get-go. Start with that. And then add boxes and tick the boxes as you go along. Never forgetting where you came from.
Yes.
And who you touched on your travels.
Yes.
So
that's exactly right.
You have been such a wonderful guest. There's 2 questions that I always love to ask my guests in closing.
All right.
Number 1 is, if you were an appliance in the kitchen,
oh my,
what appliance would you be and why?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that one. I listened to several of your podcasts recently. I didn't hear that one. Let's see. I think I would be a mixer because I like to stir things up and mix things together, mix the ideas together, mix the ingredients together, and see what magic comes out.
Well, I'd be the refrigerator because I just want to chill.
Oh yeah, I love that.
And what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be as a cultivator of change makers. I want people to have been inspired and informed by the work that I'm doing, and to be more courageous as a result, to recognize, hey, if this silly lady can get up here and speak her truth and at this stage of my life create something new, so can I. So I hope it catches on. Sometimes people dismiss people like me as being Pollyannish. I'm generally positive and optimistic in spite of all evidence to the contrary, but it's a choice that I make to show up and try to be, a light, let our lights shine. And maybe if I let mine shine, somebody else will say, oh, I can do it too. Even if I do feel a little lack of confidence sometimes.
Exactly.
Just keep on showing up.
As my kids say, you got to get in your feelings.
Oh yeah, getting your feelings. I like that.
Get in your feelings. And
Yeah.
so I appreciate that. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you. And also, you are in a couple anthologies. I want to see a copy of the books. Tell me, before we do that, tell me what was your contribution in there, and then tell us how to get in contact with you.
Okay, so you want me to start with the books?
Yeah.
So this one is Habits of Success. It's about top entrepreneurs. And my chapter in here is called The Most Important Question, which is what am I missing? So I've written about that. It's a question I try to use in my life every day because I'm always missing something when I ask that question of myself or of people around me.
That's a great question to ask.
Yeah.
I always ask myself, how can it get any better than this? And what else?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So that's in this one. And then I also have a couple in the Wellness Universe series on complete self-care. And this one is 25 Tools to Achieve Anything. And my chapter in here is called The Changemaker Tree. And I love to think and talk in metaphors that help create understanding. So this one shares how to be a change maker through the metaphor of a tree, roots, branches, seeds, and fruits, etc.
It's odd that you say that because I'm a tree hugger.
I am a tree hugger too. I love it.
And people don't get it. That's another meditation. You do the mirror work and then you go outside and hug a tree.
Love it.
You feel like you can conquer the world.
Absolutely. Yes. And I have another in the 21st, let's see. Oh, now I'm not going to remember the right name of the book, but I like metaphors. So a lot of my chapters in books are written with a different metaphor to hopefully help people connect with the change maker inside themselves.
It does. And it's also like an Aesop fable because you feel like after you've completed that, you've learned something. Yes. That was a lesson.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. So in terms of getting in touch with me, you can look up my website is blueroadseducation.org. You can find me on all the socials as Blue Roads Education or Blue Roads Education Group and Patti Talbot, P-A-T-T-I. You can email me directly, patti@blueroadseducation.org. I'd love to hear from people and hope people will tune into my show called On Your Own Terms. They can find that on YouTube is probably the easiest on the Blue Roads Education channel. So Blue Roads is a nod to my rural area. And the idea is we are trying to increase global understanding and global competencies through rural America, because a lot of times we like to close ourselves in sort of as rural people.
And I'll tell you, and I'll say it, Brains, you give rural people a bad rap. You think that you big inner city slickers got it put on, but we are some of the most convoluted people because we got too much going on. When you're with somebody in a rural or a suburban area, they have more time to think. They have more time to be with nature.
Absolutely.
They have more time to consider the process. However, we don't want you to stay stuck. We want you to be able to move in and out of both of those situations. And
Yes. And I'm with you there because that's really what it's about is making sure that we're connecting the local to the global and the global to the local. And I just happen to be in a rural setting. So that's the reference to Blue Roads.
That's what I said. And I'm in the city. So we're right here at the intersection. Yeah. We're right here at the crossroads, Brains, on the edge.
That's exactly
Thank you so much, Patti, for being here. Brains, I'm going to put all of our contact information at the back part of this, as well as in the show notes. Share with someone that is a little apprehensive, a person that's a little unsure of themselves, a person that's a little nervous, a woman of a particular age, or a man of a particular age. Let them know because you turn 60 or 60 plus, there's more than getting your Medi-Cal and your Social Security. There's a lot more of life to live. And a part of that is sharing your wisdom, having courage, and being able to step outside the box, create a new box, and be comfortable sitting in it. Thank you so much, Patti. You are the business.
Thank you, April. What a joy to be with you today.
All right. Bye, Brains.